everybody. Welcome to What Drives Us, episode 184 for May 11th, 2016. Tony, there's Tony. He's back. Hey, Tony. Thank you for putting up the title card, Tony Schaefer.
Woohoo!
My reliable friend. My name is Russell Frost from WhatDrives.us. I am your host this evening. Danny Cooper has the night off. He is out night golfing today, or this evening. Little glow-in-the-dark balls, and they have like a little blue-black light over the hole, and I think everybody has to wear white. It's some kind of weird nighttime North Carolina thing, and all of a sudden I went down a really racist rat hole there. Probably don't want to talk about that, do I?
So you're talking about balls in North Carolina, which restaurant?
Yeah, we're talking about
No!
Cooper's. Yes, Cooper's glow-in-the-dark balls. I don't want to know anything.
You just don't want to go down there. Yeah, you just don't want to go down there. So instead, I'm going to introduce my excellent panelists that are with me here to go over this week's news in advanced tech transportation. Starting at, let's see, the most western part, our man in Boulder, Colorado, Mr. Paul Guzik.
Hey everybody, I'm glad to be back, and today I'm drinking a Upslope Pale Ale, which is probably hard to read, but the first ingredients is snow melt. So,
Wait. Snow melt. Malt.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
that's awesome.
It's Colorado.
Yeah, okay. It's a little shishi, though. I should, like... Who am I to, that's what Coors like based their marketing on for 50 years? It's the water, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you, Adolf, and the rest of
Dude,
your nuts.
you can't alienate Colorado, because then Paul wouldn't even be allowed to listen to our own show.
Oh no,
That's true.
Yeah,
that would just make me sad. Well, to start, let's go to the Midwest. He's our man in Chicago, Mr. Tony Schaefer.
Hey everybody. Yeah, so I have the last Three Pistols Unibrew that I'm finishing off tonight. So I got that. I kind of got a head start going, so gonna be a good show.
That makes me sad. The last Unibrew beer.
Nah, it's time to move on. Time for lighter beers. It's that time of the year. I'm just hoping that we get good weather here in Chicago. It's been pretty crappy lately.
Has it really?
Oh my gosh, yes.
I'm sorry about that.
So Tony, how come there's no more Hawks jersey on your door there?
Oh no.
Not really sure what you're talking about.
You had to pick that scab, didn't you?
Yeah. I did. I have Patrick Sharp's jersey, and I turned it around so that he's number 10 with Dallas as well. So it's a green. Just imagine that it's a Dallas Patrick Sharp, and I'm hoping that they kick St. Louis's ass tonight.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
And Patrick Sharp and Oduya were Blackhawk players, and so I root for those guys.
There you go. Well, speaking of people we root for, he is our man in Canada. His name is Mark Coughlin.
Hello, everybody. Wasn't going to mention anything about the Chicago Blackhawks because, of course, I live in a glass house. So, but I just wanted to mention that it was announced just yesterday that the Canadian federal government is adding another $16.4 million in fast EV charging infrastructure, as well as another $46.1 million in fast charger development and R&D with Canadian universities. So good to see that the government is stepping in and investing some money in research and development as well as the actual chargers themselves. So way to go, Canadian federal government.
Now, what about giving some money to the Maple Leafs so they could win a Stanley Cup?
There's no hope. There's no hope there, Paul. It doesn't matter.
What's it been, like 50 years or?
It's been decades. Yes, decades.
The only reason
I believe it's 63. So you know what? The fans are dying out at this point.
I just want to mention the only reason Paul's throwing hockey references is that he's not even aware that Colorado has a hockey team, which I don't blame him because I tend to forget it.
Colorado has a hockey team?
Stanley Cup once.
Colorado?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Avalanche.
I know. It's easy. It's easy to not even tell.
What are they called?
The Avalanche.
The Nordique.
The what?
Yeah, I guess they were the
What
Nordic.
the Nordiques. That's what they
Yeah.
were, of course.
Quebec
Yeah,
Nordique.
yeah, they migrated south.
Okay, this is the problem with hockey talk. It just instantly, and I have no idea
Let's get
what's
back to
real.
Carter.
And that Hyperloop animation is going to make me kill people before the end of the show.
Right.
Let's get started.
But I do want to
wait.
real quick give a shout out to Philip, who I'm sorry, from someone who's knocked out of the playoffs. I want you to know, I understand. So Philip, I'm here for you.
There you go. Well, I'm going to start off this week with an experience I had. Is it news? Maybe it's something that we've talked about, and just because you know what, it's my show, so I get to do that. Yay! This is me abusing you, the viewer. Thank you very much. You know, I don't have a car. My wife and I share a car, which we love very much, but I don't have my own separate transportation, and I'm not a big car fan. I've always been a motorcycle fan. If you've watched the show, you've heard me prattle on for years about two-wheeled things. So I went out and started looking at motorcycles. And being the guy who hosts this show, not just because of this show, but because I would love to have one. I've always wanted an electric bike. And really up until the last couple of years, that's been you had to hack something together, or maybe you could have a scooter from China, maybe, but even then it was kludged up, and it's really been only in the last few years that Craig Bramsher's Bramo and Zero really started making retail motorcycles that you could actually buy at a motorcycle dealership. Since Bramsher sold Bramo to Polaris, they're now sold by Victory motorcycle dealers. If you're not familiar with Victory, they're big, fat, sexy Harley clones. If you want a big cruiser kind of thing, and they're gorgeous bikes, but honestly, I've always been this you know what, if I want a Harley, I'll buy a Harley. Why do I want to buy a Harley that doesn't say Harley?
That's a good question.
It's sort of like, buying a BMW that somebody's stripped the nameplates from and put Hyundai on, because it's 5K cheaper or something.
Or it sounds like it's Hyundai trying to convince you it's a BMW.
So you're wondering, why is this conversation, Russell, germane to this show? Well, so here's the deal. I walk into a Victory motorcycle dealer, and I go, hey, I'm that rare guy that wants to buy an Impulse. Do you have one? And I was met with the, shall we say, quizzical expression.
Deer in
And
the
the guy
headlights.
looked me up and down, looked at me and said, well, didn't say, but in his head he went, this looks like the typical guy who's going to come in and give me $25,000 for a big fat 1900cc Victory with leather saddlebags and a silly windshield. Why would he want an electric motorcycle? And the guy proceeds to tell me, he said, we just don't carry them. The boss doesn't like them. They're weird. And
That's like most Chevy dealers with the Volt.
Yeah.
You see where I'm going with this. And we'll order it if you want to pay for it up front.
Yeah.
But we won't bring it in or anything like that. And you know what? Since that bike came out, the salesman continues to tell me, they've only sold 2 in the entire country.
Well, when that's your sales pitch.
Yeah.
Because they need to work on that a little bit.
You would think.
And then he proceeds, seeing that maybe he's pushed just a little too far. He's like, but I did ride it, and it's kind of fast. And I thought, yeah, yeah, it is kind of
if
fast.
they had him in the showroom, they'd sell more than 2.
Yeah.
He didn't say in that dealership. 2 in the entire country.
Wow.
Yeah.
It could have been salesman exaggeration.
Could have been.
I want to do a quick shout out, guys.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
Brandon Miller and Jeremiah Johnson has been a great support today in all of our questions for the Zero. And it's awesome because they get it. Jeremiah is actually here in Florida, so he understands how difficult it is to get somebody to pay attention to you because immediately they want you to. You don't want that. And we went through the same issues with Prius, as you all know.
Right.
So it's just it's kind of crazy to think that we're still kind of, 10, 15 years ago here in Florida with EV. So, but I wanted to say
Thank you, Brandon and Jeremiah.
Yeah, they did a good job today.
Yeah. Now that'd be great if they could hook me up with a bike. Just a hint, guys. Just a hint.
Right.
My friends at Zero in Santa Cruz. Hi. I'd love a bike. Anyway, so we've talked about this dealer experience, and you know what? The truth is, the reason that Tesla's successful is because they're not fighting against gas cars at a dealership that wants to sell gas cars.
Right.
Aside from, which isn't to ignore the quality of the products or anything else, but it is to say that, you know what, if those cars were on sale, if they were in a dealership clustered up with other brands, does any of us think that the dealers wouldn't go, you're not going to spend $100,000 on that? Jesus, spend $60,000 on this.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah, the hardest part of introducing new technology is getting past the people who continue to push the status quo.
Or the status quo.
Or the status quo, yeah. Which is why.
Game of Thrones reference.
Mm-hmm. Which is why it's always advantageous to find somebody like Paul. Shout out to Boulder Hybrids, who focuses exclusively on hybrids and EVs, like the Green dealership that is your neighbor, and unfortunately, yeah, people have to go to places like that in order to get a real good experience.
Well, Tony, it's funny you say that. Thank you so much.
An accepting community. Just a little Boulder tidbit here. The local Nissan dealer last quarter sold almost 300 Leafs in a town of under 100,000 people. So,
oh man,
that's a lot.
They had some incentives with the county and the state and whatnot, but that's pretty impressive.
That's very impressive. Are you kidding me? I mean, that's just crazy. But again, if you foster it in the right environment, people will buy these cars and love them. That's not a problem. So there's the bad news. Like, the traditional motorcycle dealers think that, like, electric bikes are for sissies, or they don't work, or they're weird. But here I go to the Zero dealer, and there's one Zero dealer in my area, and by my area I mean about 54 miles from my house. Wow. I drive down to Sarasota, Florida, and I go to Haps Cycles. What an amazingly cool dealership. They've been run by the same family since 1948. Mom, dad, sister, the two brothers are all still working there. It is exactly what everything, when they say family-owned and operated business, should be. Really cool people. They sell BMW, they sell Triumph, they sell Honda, and they sell Zero. And I walked in and I said, blah, 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 I'm looking at like a BMW and maybe a Triumph and a Zero. And at no point did he go, oh, you don't want the Zero, it stinks. They've got 4 Zeros there that they'll demo. So, interestingly enough, I did a little video, and it's kind of horrifying. But I just, so there's like the bad example, right? The Victory dealer in Lakeland, Florida, who's a complete idiot and, wants me to buy the stupid thing that I specifically said I didn't want. But he's going to try and sell it to me. Instead, I go down to Haps in Sarasota, and I drive to Zero, and it's all. I've been on the Zero site all afternoon. Like, which one do I want? What can I afford? How am I going to finance this? What am I going to do? The bike is insane. It is. I've ridden motorcycles for most of my life. Okay, and dozens of them. Whatever. This is only the second time I've ever gotten on a motorcycle and been intimidated by it.
Wow.
It's the acceleration is scary. It is literally. Let's put it this way: in the DS1, the upgraded street bike, I would easily beat Evan Fusco in a race. Easily. I did 0 to 60 in about 4 seconds, and the throttle never went past half.
Wow.
I was afraid. I mean, literally hanging on.
Did you have to put it in ludicrous mode for that?
It's funny. No, I didn't. There's an eco mode, there's a sport mode, and then there's a custom mode that allows you to set acceleration curves and top speeds and things with your cell phone, which is really cool.
Can you adjust the aggressive regen, stuff like that?
I don't know. The region on it is really aggressive, though.
Right.
I mean, it's surprising how aggressive it is. But yeah, I don't know what to say other than it's so cool to get on a bike that is dead silent and wicked ass fast. I mean, just crazy. You can see here's...
How do you keep the front wheel on the ground?
You're like me and you're too old to really give it full throttle. You're a wimp.
See, my big concern with that kind of acceleration on a motorcycle is that I would literally stay in the same place and watch the motorcycle go down the road. I'm pretty sure.
It's
You got to hang on.
I need a seatbelt.
It's really, 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 really fast. I don't even know how to. Obviously, it's quick. So anyway, I guess my final word on this is, electric bikes aren't the thing that people have always made out hybrids and electric cars to be, which is not real cars. It's like, oh, it's great if you don't want a real car. The Prius is cool, but it doesn't go very fast, and the performance sucks, or blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. This bike is superior to a gas bike in nearly every way. It's not loud. Okay, oh, wait, but I want a loud bike. Well, I'm sorry, then, get a boombox and walk around town and annoy people. It's way faster.
So it doesn't set off the car alarms when you drive down the side streets?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah, and honestly, if you're one of those, if you're right now you're typing an email that said "loud bikes save lives," do me a favor, shoot yourself. Okay, just save yourself the trouble, because I'm just going to send you back an email and say shoot yourself. That's what I'm going to say.
I will say my most hated part of warm weather is
bike season.
I live close enough that I can hear these people it's got to be at least a mile down the road. I can still hear them. Oh,
and then their buddy with the diesel truck comes behind them rolling coal, right?
Yeah, it's whether it's the low whether it's the hogs with the real low bass that goes far, or the crotch rockets that you just hear that.
Right, that really high. This thing's almost dead silent. There's a little bit of whine that you hear. You hear that, like, I don't know if it's inverter
like
or something.
Chain drive or something.
It's belt drive.
Belt drive. Wow.
So it's even quieter. Yeah, it's scary quiet.
So what is the range on a Zero?
Jeremiah says he will take it back to street.
Uh-oh, he's being distracted.
So anyway, I'm sorry. Let's enough with me and the motorcycle. Let's turn it over to Tony Schaefer and talk about something else that goes really crazy fast.
Yeah, talk about something else. New technology, super crazy fast. Hyperloop. So a company that has renamed itself. It was originally Hyperloop Technologies, but it turns out there was another company called Hyperloop Transportation Technologies. So Hyperloop Technologies changed their name to Hyperloop One.
Sure.
Yeah, whatever. You want to avoid the confusion, just get rid of the word Hyperloop from your company's name, and that would be awesome.
They changed the name to Popsicle.
Yes. And they make Android operating systems. This morning in Nevada, they had what they were calling a POAT, a propulsion open air test. And so what they did was, if you're familiar with a rail gun, does everyone know what a rail gun is?
If not, watch some science fiction movies. Come on.
Yes. So really, it's what they're using is a rail that has electromagnets on it. The electromagnets make a pulse that run the length of the rail. And so what they did is they put the sled on top of the rail, there's this one rail. It's not like a train where you have two. There's the one, and the electromagnet goes around both sides, and the car on top straddles the rail, and as the rail magnetism runs down, it follows it. And it's
big whoop, isn't that what theme park rides do?
It is, and that's in fact in an article that's in Gizmodo. They compared it to a big roller coaster.
Yeah.
The big difference is, and here's the big difference, is that most trains, cars, vehicles have to deal with the air pressure that builds up in front of cars and trains and trucks and things. But the key to a Hyperloop is, or will be, you have to talk in the future, it will be the fact that they plan on running these rail cars in low atmosphere environments. And Elon Musk, in his multi-page white paper that he posted on SpaceX site, said he ideally said that the best thing would be, I think it was 1/16 the atmospheric pressure of Mars or something it is. I forgot some weird thing. But basically, if you can remove or greatly reduce the air pressure, then you can use this rail to propel the cars and achieve absolutely insane speeds. They're saying up to 400 or 700, and one thing I saw was like 1,300 miles per hour, and really use very little energy at all to run the magnets. In this test that they did, it didn't look that it was very long, and they used a lot of magnets, but it said once ramped up, the Hyperloop will be so efficient because there will be so little wind resistance that they would really only need to pulse these magnets, they said every 50 miles. And if this thing's running at 700 miles an hour, then they'll hit 50 miles very fast, which is, I can't do the math. But yeah, so it'll really just pretty much skim along, receive a boost, skim along, receive a boost, skim along, receive a boost.
But you'd essentially have to make a vacuum tube for this thing to ride inside.
See, that's the hard part. And as I've been researching Hyperloops, because I really wanted to understand how these things work, there's a lot of ideas being pitched around. One is a vacuum tube, but the problem with that is, a single leak anywhere in the tube would ruin the vacuum, and so the whole thing would fall apart. Some people are proposing the idea of literally pushing the air, pushing it from one side and sucking it out the other side, so that it's, as the car is moving, the air is literally moving with it. But the downside of that is fans required to push that much air and maintain that great of speed would be inhibitive. And that is why they're saying right now the leading idea would be a low atmosphere. And that would be the most sustainable. Not sustainable energy-wise, I don't know what that requirement would be, but the fact that it could be sustained would be a low atmosphere. So that's Hyperloop in a nutshell. One more thing I want to throw in. When I was talking to my wife about this, and I was kind of explaining Hyperloop, and she said, "Well, wouldn't that be dangerous to be moving, that fast?" And there's always the idea
With
of
no oxygen to breathe.
right. Yeah, that would kind of suck.
I'm waiting for the punchline because I know what it is.
Oh no, I don't have a punchline for this.
Then I'll give you it. It's almost like flying at 36,000 feet.
Well, but the difference is
That's right.
The difference is you're not.
Right. Exactly.
You're on the ground. And if the plane stops working at 36,000 feet, you have 2.5 minutes to make peace with the world.
That's comforting. Yeah.
Before you become part of the world, yes.
Because what I really want is 2.5 minutes to contemplate my inevitable demise.
Yes. But at a Hyperloop, you're traveling along, and the car or the Hyperloop stops working, and you skid to a stop, or something. But to address the concern of the dangers, not everyone is thinking personal transportation right off the bat. Some of the companies and some of the futurists are saying that Hyperloop would be a really good idea to replace semi-tractor trailers on interstates.
Yeah.
That you could Hyperloop cargo extremely efficiently. And
but they have this thing called the railroad that was invented like 150 years ago.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's pretty darn efficient for moving freight. Not as quick.
Yeah, and that's again. Let's just let's take passengers out of this equation because if that's the issue, and let's talk about moving food and especially food because it's light for the space that it takes up. You may not want to. Maybe you're not going to move lead and coal and iron ore or whatever, but if you're moving other goods through this system, and if it explodes and we lose a load of widgets from somewhere,
lettuce.
It's horrible, but it's not the end of the world. But if that gets 100 diesel trucks off the road, yay!
Yeah.
Yay! Well, I don't have a good segue for this, so I'm just going to say, Mark, tell us about your first story.
Yeah, kind of interesting that Nissan has announced that it is now going to market a Powerwall of sorts, their own invention, which will be, first of all, released in Europe only, but the X storage is what they're calling it, will hold a charge in it similar to a Powerwall, a little bit less. It's a 4.2 kilowatts of electricity. And it's apparently in Europe going to cost around $4,500 US dollars installed. So it is a much more economical version of Tesla's Powerwall. But this is the start of, there are a few different competitors now, but it's becoming a mainstream idea, most likely because Tesla is pushing it. But this is now something that others are starting to pick up on. And if you live in an area where you've got brownouts or not reliable power, it becomes an excellent option for you to collect electricity from the grid or from solar panels, store it in a battery, and then use that battery when you need it. Maybe even in on-peak hours as opposed to off-peak. So there's a number of uses for it, and as more and more come into selling these units, I believe that the price will start to come down. So that will be good for everyone. Competition always is good. So interesting that Nissan has now come out with this new X storage.
But I'd imagine they'd use like warranty battery takeouts and stuff from Leafs and repurpose them. So.
Correct. But obviously they would build it with those type of off warranty or warranty type batteries, but they will certainly build it to allow a certain amount of electricity to come out of it or be stored on it on a regular basis, I'm sure.
Right.
So yeah, this is recycling old Leaf battery packs, just to be clear, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I got out of it. It is, and I think there were some people in the comments, and you never ever read the comments, but that were like, blah blah blah. Tesla's got brand new batteries. The point isn't that like new is better than used. The point is that used for this purpose is more than good enough.
Yeah, yeah. If it can deliver X amount of watts over X amount of time and do it reliably, who cares if it's new or used batteries?
Right.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you, one of the things I love about being able to store electricity like this is a leapfrog technology. In the same way that satellite phones, not even smartphones, cellular phones, allowed big countries like China to put phones and the internet in the hands of people in rural areas without the need to run wires.
Yep.
Wireless and satellite technology leapfrog for communication, being able to put up some solar arrays and some windmills and store that electricity in these batteries, again, total leapfrog technology for some of these rural communities, whether it's in Africa or it's in Asia.
Right.
This
Or they
is a
never been on
big
the grid.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they'll never ever be on the grid. A
Right.
couple of these, or maybe even one of these, could supply electricity for a small community, just a village, and power some great technology for them to change their lives.
Absolutely. Yep. It is a big leap forward for a number of different groups that could take advantage of this.
Yeah, it's like everyone in Africa has a cell phone now, and these are, like you said, people who never had a landline ever because it was just prohibitive to run the wires. So.
Yeah. I think it's awesome. I love seeing this technology. I love seeing the prices come down, and of course, I love seeing the reusing old batteries, because the big question is, what are all these companies going to do with all these old batteries? Well, here it is.
Yeah.
Yay, that. Well, let's. I'm sorry, Paul.
No, I said it's just a cool thing.
Yeah, very
Are we
cool.
waiting
I
for
agree.
our segue?
No, I mean, we've talked about decentralized power, and the advantages of it are enormous. And if we can put things like this in people's homes and take pressure off the grid and encourage local generation, I mean, that's a win-win for everybody, because local generation is almost by definition sustainable, renewable. We're not talking about running a diesel generator or a gas generator. We're talking about wind or solar, something like that. So there. I just said a whole bunch of things that didn't really need to be said.
But we love hearing you say it.
Thank you so much, Tony. So let's. I'm going to hand the microphone back to Mark, who has another story, but this one isn't nearly as happy.
Well, we all knew this day was coming. When you start talking about autonomous cars and you're discussing what they can do and these wonderful abilities for it to drive itself, you knew eventually someone was going to screw it up. So this is an owner who apparently had taken his Tesla on a drive, gotten out in an industrial park area, and got out of the car and was discussing it with another passerby. And after about 20 or 30 seconds, the owner alleged that he and the person he was speaking with walked away from the car and went into the adjacent building. And he came back a few minutes later to discover that his car was pinned under a trailer. So his $100,000 Model S had apparently taken control itself, took a little spin down the road, and went underneath a trailer and hid. So he, of course, is a little bit surprised to find that his car was pinned underneath a trailer, with damage, of course, to the windshield and the A-frame and the hood. And the video is on this site that we'll share, and you can certainly watch. It's about a 3-minute video that a local news station did about the report. But basically, he complained to Tesla about what had happened, and he got a letter back indicating that basically it's driver error. And Tesla has indicated that when he stepped out of the car, somehow he engaged the feature for a Tesla to park itself, and the car left on its own.
I think the word for that is butt dialing.
Yeah. Or he forgot to turn the car off when he got out of the car, maybe.
He butt dialed a $100,000 car into the back of a trailer.
Right.
There you go, dude.
So he is Tesla's.
Put it in park.
Tesla's explanation is that as soon as he got out of the car, the feature wasn't enabled, turned on, and 3 seconds later, the car should have started to creep away. He attests that he and this other person were standing in front of the car for about 20 or 30 seconds, and the car had not moved. Mm-hmm. So it's his word against what Tesla says has happened. They've looked at the data from the car. They're sticking by their story, but now he's, of course, gone to the media. So it'll be interesting to see if that changes the tables at all, or what Tesla has said. But at this point, he's just stuck with a letter and, of course, a large bill to fix the car.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you leave your car on and in drive and get out and it drives away, it's not
That's not an autonomous vehicle, is it, Paul?
Right.
It's the summon feature that Tesla said was invoked.
Yeah, see, that's the interesting thing, because I believe in the video they said it was the auto park, and in the article it says auto summons. But yeah, I don't know. But what is interesting is if you look at the picture of how it drove into the tractor trailer, am I correct that it drove into where the tractor would be?
Yes, it's where the hitch is on the front of the trailer.
Right. So what's interesting is it almost seems as though the car didn't see it because it was too high. That was my first thought.
That's right. Yeah, because the radar, whatever it is shooting from the bumper of the car and maybe did not even see.
right.
This is sitting about 3 feet in the air.
I see a class action suit. So what we're saying here is that the Tesla Model S autopilot has a strange talent for possibly impaling the owners
Yeah.
on tall things.
Yeah, and in all seriousness,
But if it's auto
detect-
park, it shouldn't even roll unless there's someone sitting in the driver's seat.
No,
this summons.
The summons feature allows the car to drive without an occupant.
Okay.
Mm. But in all seriousness, if the car is autonomous and can drive on its own, and I understand, of course, this is beta, and Tesla's been saying that, it should be looking for all obstacles,
Right.
the height of the car and lower.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah, 'cause
because
you could
something
have
is
lumber
above
hanging
the
off of a
grill of the
pickup or
car
something.
doesn't mean that it's not there.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. So is Tesla going to just turn this feature off because one idiot didn't know how to? I mean, let me. You know what? I'm sorry. Let me step back from that. Quick poll of the panel. Whose fault is this?
Man, that's a tough call. I'm going to say if Tesla's auto park feature is not looking for height in front of it, then I would think it's Tesla's fault. If it's only looking bumper
But it had to have been summons because
It was
auto
summons.
park
It
shouldn't
was summons,
work.
not park. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark misspoke right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so in my opinion, there were two things going on here. One is, let's say he did engage the auto summons, and he's standing right next to the car. As far as the car is concerned, there's nowhere to summons to because it's right next to the fob. That's why it did not engage and go anywhere 3 seconds after it was allegedly engaged.
Right.
So my thought is, it had been engaged, and then he walked away. And now the car said, "Oh, I need
It's supposed to follow him.
It's
It'll follow you.
supposed to follow him." Yeah, exactly. So it started doing what it was programmed to do, but it didn't see the tractor trailer because it wanted to impale the driver. I saw a movie. I saw a documentary called Christine. It was about I believe it was Plymouth Fury. Had a knack for this. But yeah, so I think there are two things going on. I mean, one, I believe the car was doing what it was programmed to do. They just never anticipated that somebody would be standing right next to the car to engage summons and then walk away.
Right.
So then I think it's also the fault of Tesla for not detecting obstacles that are higher or that the car can hit. Somewhere in there was a cohesive thought, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah, it's a tough call, but I mean, you'd think there would be some ability to shut off the summons remotely if you saw your car was driving into the back of a semi. But
there probably is. If he knew it was moving, he could probably press the button on his key fob and it would have stopped it.
But that is not a typical vehicle, and yes, Tesla probably should modify their software to detect kind of overhang type cars like that, so it won't impale the driver. And I'm sure they'll they'll consider it. But I don't know. Something's probably missing here. Maybe the guy left the car on or in gear and got out of the car and forgot to turn it off.
But
I mean, I've
these
seen
are
people.
these are certainly the things that Tesla will have to learn over time.
Yeah.
Like these, you get that many cars on the road and that many people using it, and these strange situations will pop up, and hopefully they'll learn from them.
Yeah.
But I would,
I've seen plenty
yeah.
of Prius people get out of their car and forget to turn it off because the engine's quiet.
I still do that. I've had my car for 12 years, and I still occasionally, I'll get distracted or something. I'm in park, and I literally get out.
You could drive, and you could get out, and the car could take off. You know.
Yeah, but I do fault Tesla for their response, because when this happened, if Elon saw the picture of this car autonomously driving underneath a tractor trailer, he should have grabbed and screamed at someone. How did it not see the tractor trailer? It should have stopped. Even if it started driving away on its own, it should have stopped. And they should have said, it's your fault that you invoked the summons, but it's our fault that your car crashed. That's the way I see it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think this has exposed a weakness in Tesla's sensors array or in the software that processes the information from the sensors, and it needs to be adjusted. I also think this guy's a douche.
If you watch the video,
a little from column A, a little from column B.
Right.
Yeah, contributory negligence, I guess. Is that the? I think that's the. Like there's in insurance, it's not uncommon
like
at
people
all.
who do something stupid want to blame someone else, right? Like you remember that many years ago, the runaway Prius, and the guy was trying to blame Toyota. That it was Toyota's fault that his car ran away, and
Well,
no
Steve
one can ever
Wozniak.
prove. Yeah.
It was Steve Wozniak who made a big deal about Toyota's adaptive cruise control.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry to have to bring that up, but
let's talk about something fun.
something that doesn't exist.
So let's talk about something fun. My favorite electric car company, Faraday Future,
Our favorite.
coughed up a nice little nugget on hybridcars.com this week, and I just wanted to read. This is all about they've got that rendering of the factory, and there's a big overview, and the desert's shiny. How they polished the Nevada desert is beyond me. But the desert is shiny, the parking lot's shiny, and the roof is shiny. It's a big bunch of hot air. They're talking about basically how they're going to build their factory, how quickly it's going to be built, that Faraday isn't going to get LEED certification, of course, because gosh, that's just hard. But they are going to try to source renewables, and they're working hard on providing the energy for the factory via renewable means, which is good. It's the last paragraph that I just love because it's so Faraday Future, right? This is they're going to break ground in their factory. Here's the last paragraph, and I quote: "On a much larger level, over the long term, robotic automation will be doing much of the plant assembly." So much for those 4,500 jobs.
Yeah.
That was exactly the first thought I had. Faraday Future planning on renewable energy and laying off a lot of people.
Back to the article. Functions carried out by robots will include cover body assembly, powertrain and battery pack assembly, and final vehicle assembly. Some of the automated equipment to be used on site will include laser measurement systems, vision systems, blah 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 blah. But I'm sorry, and then I want to continue from just a couple of sentences from the paragraph above. When you enter the building, you'll be greeted by a robot who will provide information on the product status of the car. They're not even going to hire receptionists. Wait, it gets better. And then we'll guide visitors to a zone where the car is being assembled. Customers will also be able to interact with the robots at the facility remotely and can send them questions to ask staff about their car. The factory doesn't even have a foundation yet, and they've got robot receptionists greeting people.
Yeah.
This is
Although,
an advanced company.
Yes, I will say.
Way
I will
ahead of
say
their time.
about the robots in working in the assembly of the car. If anyone's watched How It's Made, have you seen How It's Made,
I love
the
that
Dream
show.
Car episodes? Oh yeah, I absolutely love it. A lot of the stuff that they mention, body assembly, powertrain, and battery pack assembly, you watch How It's Made, they're basically just spelling out modern manufacturing.
Yeah.
That's
All the
it.
cars are done that way.
They are, and all they're doing is making a press release about how they're going to be just like everyone else.
Right.
Well,
Right.
the robotic receptionist is something.
Well,
that-
except for the robotic
Yeah.
reception. Yeah. But do robots have fingernails for the receptionist to just sit there and?
And will the robots have attitudes like, you're here without an
They won't.
appointment?
Do you have an appointment? No. Okay, so
Yes,
smacked
they've
around.
manufactured more press releases than they have cars.
Yeah, and again, we still don't know what they're making or when they're making it, but darn it, they're going to hire 4,500 people to watch these robots do things. I feel so sorry for Nevada, man. They have been
Sign me up.
They
Yeah.
got this way.
Yeah, I was going to say, Mark, how much stock do you own? Yeah,
That much, yep.
not much, exactly. Yeah, when that
This-
goes on
this-
sale.
This article really is great. It'll be they're talking about the plant. It'll be futuristic looking, made from steel with large glass panels.
It's like,
Like every other building.
Like every other building.
Will it have a parking lot?
It's not in
Shiny,
the press release.
But hang on,
so
why would they need a parking lot for the robots?
for the robots.
Drive to
Robots don't drive.
robots don't drive. Yeah, what's
Robots
Yeah, they
will
don't-
be
they don't
arriving
commute,
via
they
the
just did it in the
Hyperloop.
factory. Oh yeah, the commute via the Hyperloop.
That's right.
That's a mile away.
No, they're gonna stack the robots in those tubes like cordwood. Just
Okay, so I propose that we have a viewer contest.
Oh,
okay.
What does the FF on top of the building stand for? we should have a contest. What's a
And
better
Faraday
name?
Future is not included in this, right?
What's a better name for this company? FF
Yeah.
stands for what?
Uh,
Send your
I know what
suggestions
the
to.
first F will stand for, but
that's what I'm thinking.
post your suggestions at facebook.com/whatdrivesus.
and we'll read off the winner next week.
Absolutely.
And
That I
whoever
promise.
wins will get a beer that I will drink on the show for you.
What a prize! That's awesome.
hang on, Tony, you can't lose.
I'm a giver. I'm a giver.
You are. You're generous. We'll find something for the right answer. How's that? There'll be a prize of some kind. I just hope the winner isn't like in Japan or something, so the shipping's like $90. But speaking of predictions, AutoEvolution.com posted a story about Carl Brower. Carl Brower is the Senior Director of Insights and Senior Editor at the Kelley Blue Book. Carl Brower predicts that General Motors, and I quote, will move anything between 30,000 to 80,000 units of the Bolt EV in the first year of sales. Period.
Mhm.
Space. Provided that our love for battery-powered cars continues to grow, the lower end of the forecast will most probably come to fruition. Dude, seriously? 30,000 to 80,000 isn't a prediction.
That's like hedging your bet.
Yeah, that's like saying they'll either win or they won't win, but they're definitely going to do one of those two.
Yes.
And this guy has a high position at this company, huh?
Is it just me, or does that really, number one, I'm sure that they have data that they base the 30,000, 80,000 on. It probably has something to do with GM sales predictions, but wow, that number seems high.
It's quite a spread. Yeah.
Yeah. He's the Senior
Well, I mean,
Director of Insights.
Worldwide, 30,000 could be doable, but
80,000 seems really aggressive in the first year. I'm just looking at, seriously, how many of these cars they're going to pump out.
right.
Side news.
But there is a pent-up demand for a 200-mile affordable EV.
Yes.
We know that
Mhm.
based on the Tesla reservations.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if they can get to the market and there's tax rebates and incentives, there's a chance of them doing it. But it sounds like this analyst is just throwing stuff on the wall and to see what sticks.
Oh God, yes.
I need some publicity. Hey, Carl, get the company name in an article, okay? Things at KBB are a little slow
Genius.
this week.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And in a side note, GM has released their annual fleet website, and it indicates in it on page 138 that the Bolt will go into production in October.
Wow.
So they'll have a full 2017.
Is it like a Rolex? Does it take a year to build a Bolt?
No.
No.
No, they have the robots building the Bolt.
Oh,
That's
those
right.
Faraday robots.
Yeah,
No, not those ones.
Real
and they don't
working
exist. Those are in your dream.
There's no imaginary robots at the Orion
How
plant.
sad is that Faraday doesn't even have real robots?
They don't have the building yet.
Imaginary robots, You see them at
Imaginary
their
robots
office?
in an imaginary building.
Ay, ay, ay.
Uh,
Well, Mr. Schaefer?
well, talk about predicting the future.
Oh, yeah.
So apparently, Dyson, the inventor of the ball barrow, bet you didn't know that, did you?
I'm sorry, what was that that he invented?
The ball barrow. It's true. It's a true thing. Look it up.
I've seen that. It's a wheelbarrow with like a basketball front wheel.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, sure. That's
And
what I was
literally,
thinking.
yeah, Dyson literally invented this because the wheelbarrow was too easy to tip over and you couldn't make sharp turns, but apparently the ball barrow is easier to handle. So that's where the ball vacuum cleaner concept came from. So Dyson of vacuum fame here in the United States has filed patents for a battery-operated electric vehicle. And to further promote the rumors, which now are starting to appear to be fact, they bought a solid-state battery company called Sakti. How would you pronounce that? That is
Sakti-3. Yeah.
Sakti. It's not often you see the K before the T. Sakti-3. Which Sir James Dyson said they have developed a breakthrough in battery technology. And the breakthrough is that it's a solid-state battery instead of using liquid in the. I always get these wrong. It's you have the cathode,
electrolyte.
diode, so instead of using the liquid, it's using solid state. Now, some people are saying that even if this is true, even if they do have good working solid state batteries, it could take 10 years or longer to ramp it up to electric vehicle potential and manufacturing. But potentially we have another player in the electric vehicle realm, and it might be Dyson of all places. And makes me wonder if they would make their cars out of that high tensile strength plastic that they make their vacuum.
You took my first joke.
And would they suck?
Yes.
Thank you. Paul was
We
the
were
first
all
one.
waiting for that to happen. Yes.
Paul was the
Yeah.
first one with that joke earlier today. So just to give him credit where credit's due.
Yes.
The Dyson
Yes.
car will suck. Yeah. That was my first question, Tony. Is it going to be made out of that clear purple plastic?
Yeah.
I
I
might-
didn't
I
know
might
you were
like
going to
that.
say that. I didn't realize I was taking your joke.
And
No,
we have
no.
a hanger
Yeah.
to put it on the
Yeah,
wall when
but-
you're done with it.
Right. Here's the thing. Like, I'm
Perfect,
sorry,
yeah.
I'm not. I read through this. Does Dyson actually come out and talk about Dyson, not other people? Does Dyson talk? Yes, we're developing a car, because honestly, that they bought a battery company. Gosh, guys, they make products that use electricity.
Well, okay, so they did. They did buy the company, but they also filed papers.
To
A
patent
government document, yeah, and they said that Dyson filed the papers to develop a new battery electric vehicle.
Okay.
So whether
Okay.
it's actually a car or a Ryder vacuum cleaner, We don't
Right?
know.
Ooh. If it's like
Yeah.
those lawnmowers if it's like those lawnmowers with the 2 levers, I would be
Right.
totally down with that.
That's what I'm saying, and it spins at 2,500 RPM.
Well, and
Or
think about
whatever.
how clean the roads are going to be.
Yes, it's
You know.
awesome.
Yeah.
And how
No
quickly
more
your
cigarette butts on
1,200
the roads.
and how quickly your 1,200 square foot home would be clean.
Really, honey, run the car through the living room. Filthy.
It's not how fast you vacuum; it's how you vacuum fast.
Ah.
Maybe the Dyson car will be like a Roomba that you can ride on instead of the cat in the shark costume.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
There's no way that you can be as cool as a cat in a shark
Right.
costume. I mean,
It's
let's
more
be realistic
practical.
about
than
that. Or the duck.
Yeah.
It gets better and better. This is just endless trove of comedy wealth. I mean, and I have this same. I've said this. I have this same sort of like hesitation to like get all excited about an Apple car. Because honestly, Apple products are. I love Apple products. Some of them are wonderful, but some Apple products have deep flaws. And Apple's made some bad moves over the years with certain things.
Yeah.
So the idea that if they make a car, it's going to be automatically awesome is like I want to.
Remember the Newton?
Yeah, remember the Cube,
Yeah.
the 20th anniversary
Well, and
Mac?
yeah, and even just remember how much backpedaling Elon Musk was doing with the Tesla, and I mean that was rough. A lot of people look at the Model S, they look at the Model 3, and they say, "Oh, Tesla's great. Tesla's did everything right." No, we did a lot of reporting over the last 6 years on Tesla had to go back to the owners of the Model S. And even the Roadsters, and saying, sorry, your prices are going up because we have to fund the development of this next car. And I mean, the stock wasn't always a joyride, and it's not easy. It's really not easy.
Yeah. It's not like developing a vacuum cleaner. It's not like developing an iPad or a computer. Developing a motor vehicle is a whole other world of complexity.
And regulation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I mean, you know what though? So here's me being positive. Absolutely welcome somebody like Dyson that makes high quality products. If they make a high quality electric vehicle, cool. If it's another expensive race car, I totally could care less.
Maybe it's going to be a car that will autonomously vacuum your house as well.
Mm-hmm.
That would be cool.
Or just clean up the parking lot.
Right.
You know? If it just swept up the parking lot.
Yeah, after you
Leave
park
your
your car
garage,
and plug it into charge, it goes out at night and cleans parking lots.
Cleans your neighborhood. Yeah.
Maybe Dyson is making battery powered autonomous Zamboni.
Ooh.
So here's a market for that, because there's a hockey rink like everywhere. There's not. Really not.
You so live in Chicago. You so live in Chicago.
Well, there's at least 2 in Florida.
Yeah, one of them. Well, thank you, Mr. Schaefer, for the Dyson. I like Dyson could be the next Tesla. How about just like they're going to make some electric cars? You know, like.
I'll try.
That's such a bad headline. Ugh.
Link bait.
Yeah.
Link, thank you. Well, there's a picture of Elon Musk, of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Hanging out with Dyson.
Yeah. Dude, I need one of your vacuums. I got nothing. Okay, let's move on past this. Let's do our shout-outs and go home, gentlemen. We worked hard tonight. Mark, how about I start with you this week, sir?
I haven't got any real shout, except for maybe thanks to Eric for sending me that note about the bulk production on the website for October of this year. So thanks, Eric, for that note.
Oh. Weird. Okay. Well, thank you for that. Tony, take it away, my friend.
Hey, as usual, I want to remind everybody, if you haven't already, go to facebook.com/whatdrivesus. make sure and like our page. Lee Moon, who's always posting stuff. I did like the comment to our LAPD not impressed by ludicrous mode, ludicrous Tesla Model S police cruisers, and his comment was more superchargers at donut shops. I thought that was pretty good. That fits it right there. And I want to give a shout out to Lee and I am so sorry. I'm just going to call you KT. For
KT?
KT. Constantinos. I'm going with that. For your feedback on my article about following large vehicles at a safe distance on my ongoing hypermiling series.
Oh,
and,
very cool.
Yeah, following farther back, and
Especially
Constantinos did mention
that overhang.
Yes. And he mentioned something that I kind of took out, but drafting off somebody, drafting, and I mean by drafting, I'm talking about following at an extremely unsafe distance. It is extremely rude. I couldn't come up with a good way to articulate how it's rude to the car in front, because you're really infringing on their personal space things. And when somebody looks in the rearview mirror or the side mirrors and they see a car that close to them, it makes them uncomfortable. And when you're following a car that closely and the driver of that car is uncomfortable, you're about to become very uncomfortable. So it's another reason why drafting is just a really, really bad idea. But I want to say thanks for letting me know that you actually read my article. That's why I do it. I also want to give one more shout out. This is a Facebook page that I follow, and they post a lot of really good stuff about electric vehicle things around the world. It's the Electric Vehicle Enthusiasts of India. Yeah, and I mean, not kidding. And there's a lot of electric vehicle production and usage going on in India. It's a hotbed of electric vehicle stuff, from scooters to cars, even some upstart, full-on electric vehicles, passenger cars in India that we otherwise wouldn't hear about. We just don't receive that news. So a big shout out to them, and I would promote it to other people to follow the Electric Vehicle Enthusiasts of India. They post regularly. They post some really good articles. So give them a look up.
There you go.
That's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. And finally, Mr. Guzik.
Well, since Russell was talking about motorcycles, I've got a shout out to a fairly new EV company that technically is making a motorcycle, but it's a three-wheeled EV. They're called Electromechanica. They're up in Vancouver, Canada, my hometown, and their website's smallev.com, and they've got this little Austin Powers three-wheeled looking car that they're trying to develop, and surprisingly, like Tesla, they're taking reservations. You can put a deposit on a car that doesn't exist yet.
It's a Corbin Sparrow.
Kind of, yeah.
It is a Sparrow.
But it is a three-wheeled EV, so it is technically a motorcycle, so it doesn't have to do all the crash testing and safety things that a real four-wheeled car would do.
Huh.
So if someone asks you how would that perform in a crash, you can honestly say, I have no idea.
And it would be like riding a motorcycle in a crash, pretty much.
I kind of want to just say to those people, don't crash. How's that?
Yeah.
Just don't crash. Okay? If the whole point for you buying a car is that you're going to be safe when you crash into something, you may be the people that we need to keep off the road.
Don't buy a car. Stay on the sidelines.
Yeah. Electromechanica.com.
But smallev.com will get to you there.
Very cool.
Kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, if they can pull it off at an affordable, sort of single commuter vehicle, single person commuter might work.
What's the price on that reservation, Paul?
Anticipated MSRP of 20 grand Canadian, which is like $15 US, I think.
That's so not right. But they're asking for $250 deposit.
Right.
To hold
which is better than $1,000 on a Model 3, right? So.
Yeah. It's not the $100 Arcimoto deposit, but then again, this has doors.
I wish them well. I mean, if they can pull it off, there is a market for people who don't like being on an open motorcycle, that would like something a little more enclosed, especially if you live where it rains or it's cold, or
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, I've seen. I mean, there's we have to get past this thing where everything has to be a box with four wheels,
right?
Because there's all kinds of, the Can-Am Scorpion three-wheeled thing, the Slingshot three-wheeled thing. There's a whole bunch of vehicles out there right now that are selling tons.
People are buying them.
And very popular with people. We have to get over this hang-up that everything has to have four corners and a wheel on each corner, because it doesn't. Right along with that, what happens if I crash? How about just don't crash? Okay.
I'm more concerned about being sideswiped by someone who doesn't
looking at
receive
their phone.
Who's looking at their phone. Someone who doesn't hear your wise advice on not crashing.
But I'm concerned about that in my car. You know what I mean? I see people in Denali's and minivans all the time.
Right.
The phone stuck to their head or the phone in front of them. I'm just as worried about that in my gas car as I am in an electric car.
But if they hit you in your gas car, there's a chance that you'll live. Where if they hit you on a motorcycle, there's close to zero chance you'll live. So
you should sell motorcycles.
Close to.
What's that?
You should sell motorcycles.
Yeah.
Jeez, talk about ending the show on a downer, Gizik.
Telling it like it is.
Here I am, dead and bleeding on the side of the road because some idiot had to send an emoji to their boyfriend.
Yeah.
Thanks. As always, I want to thank Michael Manring for the theme music. You can visit him at manthing.com. Please do that. Buy his CDs on CD Baby. I also wanted, again, as my wife, to thank Brandon and Jeremiah from Zero Motorcycle for their help, and we'll certainly talk to them as I move closer and closer to possibly being an electric motorcycle rider. Yay! See, lots and lots of fun. What else? If you have a Prius and you need accessories, go to my friend Danny Cooper's Prius Chat Shop. That's at priuschat.com/shop for all your Prius accessory needs. What's the website, Paul? Your URL. Paul?
Oh, sorry. You cut out on me.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's your URL?
BoulderHC.com.
It is BoulderHC.com. I just wanted to be sure. I didn't want to give the wrong one out. So visit Paul at BoulderHC.com. Visit Tony at WhatDrives.us to read his awesome hypermiling series. And please feel free to comment and argue with him like crazy. There. Yeah. You can follow Mark at WR Voltic on Twitter, and I highly recommend it. In fact, and you can go on there and argue with him too.
You could.
You could. He needs a little conflict in his life. I get the impression there's no conflict in Mark's life.
Right.
Too easy.
Yeah. He always seems happy. He doesn't have that mean side, which apparently the only side I have. So
he's Canadian.
There it is. As always, thanks to all of you for listening. Visit us at whatdrives.us to download or stream the show in video or audio form. You can catch us on your favorite podcatcher or on iTunes, of course. And until next week, download us and find out what drives us. Okay, everybody, we're going to do...
Get the head bobbing.
Get the head bobbing. We gotta do a little head bobbing. I just hit my head on the microphone. You stupid. See you next week. Bye-bye.